Welcome back to another Tutorial Tuesday. Today we're going to be taking a look at understeer, what it is, why it happens, and how we can deal with it in different types of cars. So what is understeer? You'll notice it when you're steering one way and your car isn't steering as much as you hoped it would. In the worst case, your steering is completely to one side while your car is just going straight ahead. This happens because your front tires, which are responsible for the steering, don't have enough grip to steer as much as you want. They have a certain budget of grip and you're exceeding that budget. Now this grip budget can generally be spent on three things: going fast, turning the car, and slowing down. So when you're driving at high speed, you'll notice that your car won't turn with the same agility as when you're going at a slower pace. The same thing happens when you're braking hard. All the grip budget of the tires is used to slow the car down, so you won't be able to turn as much as you want. We can see the disastrous effects of understeer in this corner on the Track Titan platform. The orange driver is having a lot of trouble with understeer, which adds almost 2 seconds to their lap time in this corner alone. When we check the racing line, we can see that the orange driver is running much wider late in the corner. And if we look at the speed chart, we can see why. The blue driver can turn much more easily because they're at a lower speed, while the orange driver is still going almost 20 kilometers an hour faster. This makes it impossible to make the turn, and they have to slow down late in the corner to even stay on track, costing them a ton of time in this corner, but also on the straight after it. Be sure to check out tracktitan.io if you want to analyze your own driving in ACC or the F1 games, so you can easily find mistakes like this and solve them. And if you sign up with code understeer, you get a free month of extra analysis tools. So now that we understand that understeer is caused by having spent all of the tire's grip on other things beside turning, let's talk about the common mistakes people make that make understeer happen. The first mistake is trying to turn with too much speed. Every car has a certain turning radius, and this radius gets larger and larger the faster we go, because of the centrifugal forces. When you're trying to turn more than your car is able to at that speed, you're going to be experiencing understeer. The aero of a car greatly influences this because the downforce gives the tires more grip at a higher speed. But generally speaking, a car has its own limits and can only turn so much at high speeds. Exceeding that limit will cause understeer. The second mistake we often see is people trying to turn during a braking zone. Here you must realize that the front tires are working quite hard to slow the car down, so all of their grip is used for slowing down. If you then turn the steering wheel, you're gonna overload the tires. You might even get a lockup, start sliding, and heat up and damage your tires, which will result in them being less grippy until these tires are replaced. The third reason you might be experiencing understeer is turning in too fast. This mainly happens in GT cars, which are a bit heavier and less aero dependent than F1 cars. If you turn in too quickly, the car has not gotten enough time to shift its weight around and get the required amount of grip in the tires that are doing the heavy lifting. So by turning the steering wheel too quickly in a GT car, there's not enough time to build up the required grip to make the turn. And the fourth and final reason we're going to discuss today is getting on the throttle too early and too much. This is especially deadly in longer corners where you'll end up struggling to stay within track limits if you get on the power too early. In these long corners, your car has to turn quite a lot, and by getting on the throttle too early, you're robbing your tires of the grip they need to do all that turning. So now that we know the most common mistakes people make that cause understeer, let's dive into the solutions for each of these problems. The solution for understeering when you're going too fast is quite obvious: just don't go as fast. This is of course easier said than done, because often you'll experience this understeer after a braking zone where you feel like you've slowed down enough to make the corner, but you're still struggling to keep it within track limits. The best solution is to slow down just a little bit more, to give your front tires the grip that they need to perform this turn. or if the car allows it, you can increase the downforce levels as well, but remember that this will also make you a little bit slower on the straights. Now if you're experiencing understeer under braking, you just need to let go of the brakes a little bit. This might be counterintuitive as you want to brake enough to make the corner, but you'll free up some of the grip budget to actually slow down and turn at the same time. Trail braking is a fantastic technique that helps you do this well consistently. In a nutshell, it's decreasing the brake pressure gradually while you're also gradually increasing the steering angle. But be sure to not abruptly take your foot off the brakes, otherwise the weight of the car will shift to the front and you might be spinning around because of it. Now if you're having trouble with understeer because you're steering in too quickly, make your steering inputs a little smoother. Especially when you start to make this change, it might feel a bit counterintuitive as well, but once you get the hang of it, gradually turning into corners, you'll have a better feel for the car and you'll experience a ton less understeer. And finally, if you're getting on the throttle too early during corners, be just a little bit more patient in those long corners. Practice the turns which give you consistent trouble to find out where you can actually get on the throttle and have a great exit, so you don't have to deal with that nasty feeling of understeer. We hope you've learned something from today's video. Let us know in the comments down below if we missed anything. Check out tracktitan.io if you want to analyze your own driving, and we'll see you in the next video.